There is a rhythm in this life that we do not create, yet it carries us. A current, ancient and sure, moving through every joy and every heartbreak. Some call it fate, others call it luck. But I call it God. I have walked through nights so dark that the moon refused to show her face. And yet, I have been held. I have been lifted by hands unseen, guided by a voice I could not hear but surely felt. Today I have come to tell you, when the ground feels like it's breaking beneath you, trust the one who made the ground. Trust the one who made you. Trust God and watch how He takes care of His own. There is a place in every life where the road falls away beneath the feet, where the air grows thin and the heart beats louder than the sound of the world outside. It is the valley, the low stretch where shadows rise tall against your frame, where the warmth of yesterday seems 1,000 miles behind you. In that place, there are moments when you think you are standing alone, and yet, there is a strange, unspoken weight that keeps you from falling apart. You cannot name it, but it is there, quiet as a mother's breath against the cheek of her child, firm as the arm of a friend who will not let you stumble. In the hush between your sob and your sigh, you sense it, the holding, the keeping, the steadying that belongs not to your own strength, but to something older, wiser, deeper than the mountains that look down on your trouble. In that valley, your tears may fall like rain, and you will wonder how many nights it takes to make a morning. Your questions will not all be answered, but still the day will break. The light may not come in a rush. It may arrive shyly, spilling in slow through the cracks. But it will find you. You will lift your head, unsure how you have made it through, and realize you have been carried. Not in the way the world carries things, with a hurry and a groan, but with the patience of the river carving the canyon, with the tenderness of a hand smoothing the creases from a worn fabric. You were kept, not because you clung tightly, but because you were cradled in something that does not tire. You may recall a time when your strength was spent before the morning meal, when you did not have enough courage to lace your own shoes, when the weight of your thoughts bowed your shoulders like an old tree in the wind. Yet, somehow, you rose. You rose with feet that had been washed in the quiet mercy of the night. You rose with a breath you did not have to bargain for. You rose with a song, perhaps too soft for others to hear, but strong enough to hum to yourself, that told you you were not forsaken. Even in the valley, there was music, and you were the instrument through which it played. Sometimes the valley is not made of dirt and stone, but of days and hours, of waiting rooms and unanswered calls, of bills on the table and voices that speak of doubt. Sometimes it is the stretch between the last good news and the next, between the smile you wore and the one you are trying to find. And in that stretch, the unseen hands go about their work. They close the doors that would harm you. They keep the ground from splitting beneath your bed. They pour oil into the cracks of your tired heart so it can keep on beating its rhythm, slow but steady, sure but gentle. You may think the valley has no lesson except survival, but if you listen, if you are still, you will hear the rustle of something eternal moving through the grass. It is not in a rush. It does not need to be. It knows the end from the beginning. It knows where the path bends upward, even when you do not. While you pace in your worry, it is already laying the stones for your next climb. While you count your losses, it is counting your tomorrows and keeping them safe from harm. While you wonder if you can take one more step, it is building in you the strength to run when the hill turns to plain again. And in that low place, the unseen hands will not always lift you out at once. Sometimes they will steady you while you learn the feel of your own legs again. Sometimes they will let you lean against them until your back is straightened by courage, not by comfort. Sometimes they will simply hold you until you remember that you were made for more than despair. You will not see the hands, but you will see their work. You will see it in the way you are able to greet a neighbor, even after your own heart has been bruised. You will see it in the way laughter still slips from your mouth on a day you thought would only bring weeping. You will see it in the strange peace that arrives uninvited and sits down beside you like an old friend who knew you were in trouble. And though the valley may still stretch long before you, the unseen hands will never grow weary. They have lifted heavier burdens than yours. They have held together lives more shattered than you can imagine. They have cradled nations and rocked them into healing. You are not too much to carry. Your pain is not too sharp to hold. Your questions are not too loud to be heard. There, in the shadowed lowlands, you will learn that safety is not always the absence of trouble. It is the presence of the one who keeps you steady through it. There comes a time after the valley, or perhaps in the very heart of it, when the wind stops howling and the rain pauses in midair. It is not yet the sunshine, not yet the shout of deliverance, but a quiet unlike any other. This is the silence between storms. It does not ask for permission to arrive. It slips in like an old memory, settling over you in folds of stillness. The world may mistake it for nothing happening, for a pause that is empty, but you know better. Inside that hush, something is gathering. Strength is knitting itself back together in the shadows. Courage is drawing its breath again. Hope is stretching its limbs under the cloak of quiet. In this silence, there are no trumpets, no blazing signs. The growth is hidden, like seeds pushing roots deeper into the earth where no eye can see. You may feel still, but the work being done in you is not idle. The silence holds a weight, the kind that shapes you without your consent. It teaches you to listen for the whisper instead of the thunder, to feel the shift in the air before the storm ever reaches your shore. It reminds you that sometimes the most important battles are won without a sound, that strength does not always arrive with a roar. It can come on tiptoe, settle beside you, and stay in the stillness. Your mind tries to wander back to worry, for it has grown used to pacing. But the quiet is patient. It will not be rushed. It asks you to put your hands down, to stop trying to pry open doors that are closed for your keeping. It asks you to unclench the fist you have wrapped around tomorrow, to trust that the day will come dressed in its own colors. It teaches you that silence is not the absence of action. It is the womb where the future is forming. In that space, you are being taught to wait without bitterness, to be still without shrinking, to trust without demanding proof. This between time, this holy hush, is where your soul remembers its own sound. When the noise fades, you can hear the truth again, the deep, pulsing truth that you are not abandoned, that something beyond your strength has its hand on your life, that storms may circle, but they cannot claim you without passing through the keeping you have known all along. In the silence, you do not need to fight to be seen. You are seen already. You do not need to shout to be heard. You are heard already. And when the next storm gathers its clouds, you will rise into it with a stillness that confuses the wind, with a peace that makes the rain wonder why you are not afraid. There are days when you will walk and not know where the road will turn, when the map in your hand feels like it was drawn for another land, another traveler entirely. The sky may be heavy with questions, and the air thick with the ache of not knowing. Yet still you must walk, and as you do, you are asked to carry something more than your own survival. You are asked to carry your dignity. This is not the dignity of pride that puffs itself up for show. It is the quiet dignity that straightens your back when the load is heavier than you imagined. It is the dignity that lets you meet the eyes of the day without shame. Even when your pockets are empty and your answers are few, uncertainty is a kind of weight that presses not only on the shoulders but on the spirit. It bends the neck forward, tempts the gaze downward, whispers that perhaps you should shrink to fit the shadows. But dignity refuses to bow in fear. It lifts your chin, smooths the creases from your brow, and reminds you that you are still who you were before the questions came, that your worth was not issued by circumstance, and so it cannot be revoked by it. Dignity walks with you through the market of doubters and the corridors of delay, and it holds your head high without arrogance, only with the unshakable knowledge that you are kept in a way no uncertainty can undo. The weight of not knowing can make your steps slow, and there will be moments when others seem to stride past you with ease. Their paths look straight, their skies clear, their destinations marked in ink while yours seems written in sand. But dignity does not measure the worth of your journey by the pace or the clarity of the road. It measures by the truth that you have not laid down your hope, even when it felt lighter to set it aside. It measures by the way you keep showing up, even when your hands are empty but your heart refuses to be so. It measures by the way you choose to stand in the open field of uncertainty, without pretending to know the forecast, yet without yielding your peace. There is a grace in carrying yourself well in times when the answers are hidden. It is the grace of the tree that stands in winter without leaves, knowing that the absence of bloom is not the absence of life. It is the grace of the traveler who does not rush to the end, but takes the journey as it comes, step by step, with eyes open to the lessons along the way. Uncertainty will press against you, try to bend you, try to convince you that you are small. But dignity keeps you tall. It reminds you that you are more than the moment you are in. That while the weight of not knowing is real, it is not all you carry. You also carry the truth of who you are, and that truth cannot be shaken from your shoulders. There is a place you will come to, often not by choice, where your strength runs to its last drop and your hands have done all the holding they can. It is the edge. The place where the road you thought you knew disappears into a mist you cannot see through. You have tried, you have worked, you have turned every stone your fingers could find, and yet the thing you sought does not come. It is here at the edge that surrender begins to call your name, not as defeat, but as release. For there is a wisdom in letting go of what was never yours to carry alone. There is a deep knowing in unclenching the fist, and allowing the air to move freely through your palm. Surrender is not the laying down of your courage. It is the recognition that courage has another form, one that stands tall even when the outcome is not in your control. It is the courage to stop fighting battles that do not belong to you, to place your burdens in a space where they can be lifted by hands stronger than your own. At the edge of surrender, wisdom waits like an old friend who has been watching your struggle from a distance, patient and sure. It will not push you. It will not force your grip to loosen. But when you finally open your hands, it will place in them something far more precious than what you were clinging to. The peace of knowing you are not the only keeper of your life. This wisdom knows that the river does not argue with the rock. It simply moves around it. It knows that the seed does not claw at the soil demanding the sun. It trusts the timing of its season. And it knows that your heart will breathe easier when it is no longer bound by the chains of control. At the edge of surrender, you will hear the quiet voice that has been speaking all along beneath the noise of your striving. It will tell you that you are not less because you cannot carry it all. It will remind you that sometimes the strongest step you can take is the one that steps back, leaving room for the way to be made without your hammer and nails. The wisdom here is patient. It understands that surrender is not a single moment but a posture of the soul, a daily choice to place the weight in the keeping of something larger, stronger, wiser. It is the place where the anxious rhythm of your heart begins to slow, where your mind stops its circling long enough to see that the ground beneath you has not fallen away. And as you stand on that edge, you will learn that surrender is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of a path you could not see while your eyes were fixed on holding everything together yourself. There will be times when the road ahead disappears, into you cannot tell if you are walking toward a mountain or a meadow. The horizon hides itself, and the map you once trusted feels like it belongs to another lifetime. In those moments your steps will feel heavier, not because the ground has changed, but because the questions have multiplied. And yet there is a call deep within you that says, walk on. It does not promise you that the next step will land on solid ground, but it tells you that standing still will not bring you into the life you were meant to live. This is courage, not the absence of fear, but the choice to move while fear walks beside you. When the path is invisible, courage becomes your lantern. It may not light the whole way, but it gives you enough to see the next stone, the next patch of earth, the next stretch of water you must cross. Sometimes that light feels small in the darkness, but it is enough. For courage does not wait for the storm to pass or the fog to lift. It steps forward with the quiet conviction that there is more ahead than there is behind. And with each step, the invisible becomes a little clearer, the unknown a little less heavy. You begin to trust the rhythm of your own feet, the way they find the ground without seeing it, the way they keep moving when the mind wants to turn back. Walking with courage on an unseen path teaches you to listen differently. You start to hear the subtle clues, the shift of the wind, the murmur of water nearby, the firmness of the soil beneath your toes. You begin to notice that even when you cannot see the way, there are signs that you are not lost. A bird sings in the distance, and somehow you know you are moving toward life. A warmth rises on your cheek, and you understand the sun has found you again. Courage sharpens your senses to these small mercies, these quiet confirmations that the journey is still yours to take. You may not know the destination, and perhaps that is the point. The path, invisible though it may be, is shaping you as much as it is carrying you forward. Every uncertain step teaches balance. Every pause to listen teaches patience. Every moment you move through the unknown without turning back teaches you that you are stronger, braver, and more steadfast than you once believed. And one day, without fanfare or warning, the fog will part. You will see where you have come, and the distance will take your breath. You will know that the courage that walked with you was not borrowed. It was yours all along, planted deep within you for such a journey as this.